Support for the Leadoff on WGLT and WGLT.org comes from the Central Illinois Regional Airport, where Florida beaches are one flight away. Featuring nonstop service on Allegiant Airlines to Tampa, St. Pete, and Orlando Sanford from Bloomington. Close, convenient, CIRA. More at CIRA.com.
E-bikes buzzing down Constitution Trail are becoming more common, prompting calls for greater police enforcement. It's one of the things you need to know to start your day for Wednesday, August 7th. I'm Ryan Denham, and this is WGLT's The Leadoff. Now let's lead off with the price of farmland in Illinois, which has soared more than fourfold in the last 2 decades. That's now changing. WGLT's Charlie Schlenker has more.
20 years ago, the average price per acre of McLean County farmland was about $4,000. Last year, it was $16,000. Ag bankers and farm auctioneers like Dave Klein of First Mid Ag Services in Bloomington say, though, big annual growth slowed last year, and prices plateaued in the first half of this year.
We try to keep track of the arm's length transactions that are public sales, mainly in the northern two-thirds of the state of Illinois, which is our major footprint area. We've noticed that land prices are down about 3%.
Klein says most agree there are single-digit decreases across the Midwest. Heartland Bank and Trust ag banker Kevin Burlingmere says that's in part because the price of commodities has dipped substantially.
2 years ago, corn was over $7 a bushel, or right around there, and now it's not quite half of what it was, but it's almost half. You know, cash flows are tight. Farmers were making really good money 2 years ago, and now it's a struggle to, some cases, to break even.
At the same time, fertilizer and other input costs have tripled, so thinner margins and higher interest rates make loans harder to get. There aren't as many buyers at farmland auctions as there were a couple years ago. Burlingmere says that's not to say there are no buyers.
It just depends on who the neighbors are when you have a sale. You know, if somebody's driven by that farm for 50 years or 60 years, or they've owned the piece next to it and they're going to have one chance in their lifetime to buy it, they'll make a really strong effort to buy it.
Burlingmere says greater global competition and worldwide supply may keep corn and bean prices down for a while, and farmland markets more local than national. For the Leadoff, I'm Charlie Schlenker.
Here's some other stories we're following in the WGLT newsroom. Democratic Congressman Eric Sorensen says he's excited about Kamala Harris's pick to be her running mate. Sorensen says that Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is a Midwesterner from a state with a large ag sector, so he understands what's needed in Illinois and in the 17th Congressional District. The National Weather Service has wrapped up its assessment of the July 15th derecho with a grand total of 10 tornadoes recorded around central Illinois that evening. Each of those tornadoes reached somewhere between EF0 and EF1 in strength. The Back to School Alliance will be handing out backpacks with school supplies to low-income families in Bloomington Normal tomorrow. Event Chair Jan Meadows says the goal is to match last year's distribution number of 4,000 backpacks supplied by and for the community. And it will now be easier for people leaving jail or prison to get an Illinois ID. Governor J.B. Pritzker signed a measure that will let Illinois inmates from county jails to federal prisons get clearance for a state ID before they are released. You can find more on these stories at WGLT.org. WGLT has recently received several contacts from residents complaining about speeders on Constitution Trail. There is actually a speed limit on the recreational biking, jogging, and walking path that runs through the Twin Cities. It is 10 miles an hour in normal parks and rec areas, according to the town's website. In this interview with WGLT's Charlie Schlenker, Mayor Chris Koos affirms new technology is increasing the number of such complaints.
Now this has become more of an issue as e-bikes, especially e-bikes with throttles on them, have become more prevalent. And so we're asking people, and we're working with Friends of the Constitution Trail, McLean County Wheelers, Lake Run Club, to bring awareness to this issue. This gives me an opportunity to tell your listeners to obey the speed and to be courteous on the trail. There are multiple users on the trail: walkers, runners, cyclists, inexperienced, cyclists experienced. So just be aware of your surroundings. We've talked internally, the police have been at the table about enforcement issues, signage on the trail, and I hate to put signage on the trail, but if we have to put speed limit signs on the trail, we'll do that. The issue is enforcement. You know, you take a police officer off the street and put him on traffic on the trail. That's a tough call.
In a broader context, not just the trail, the town has periodically over the years looked at on-street use of segways, the rising use of electric skateboards and scooters. This is all of a piece with the shifting modes of transportation, of personal transportation. There hasn't been a comprehensive overarching ordinance on that yet. Is it time, and what does that look like, and what does your process look like?
It is something we're looking at, Charlie. Right now, we want to get it right. We're looking at other communities that have instituted policies like that and to see if they've been successful or not. But we're going to have to require something. Now, there's already language in the motor vehicle code in the state of Illinois. For instance, level 3 e-bikes, which are e-bikes that have a throttle that you can throttle the bike instead of pedaling it, are not allowed on the trail. They're not legal on the trail. But again, it's the enforcement and the education that we have to do to get people to respond to that. And there's always going to be the outlier who just chooses to ignore it. I mean, we have issues, complaints of bikes with gas motors attached to them on the trail, completely illegal on the trail. Electric scooters that are going pretty fast on the trail. And then we have the other side of the issue. If you say no motorized vehicles on the trail, does that mean an electric wheelchair? Does that mean that specialty electric bike where there are church groups that go to retirement homes and that and put people who can't ride or walk very well anymore, and they take them on the trail? So it's a convoluted issue. So has it risen to the point where you're going to recommend that the police department do greater enforcement? Yes, that's something we're looking to do. When we do that, I'm not really sure when that's going to happen. You know, in probably 60 days, this issue will go away until next spring.
That is Chris Koos, the mayor of Normal. He spoke with WGLT's Charlie Schlenker. You can hear or read the rest of their conversation at WGLT.org. And before we let you go, the Bloomington Planning Commission meets today at 4 at the police department's Osborne Room. On the agenda are plans for a new child care center on GE Road. And that's it for today. I'm Ryan Denham. The show is produced by Rosalie Truback. You can subscribe to The Leadoff on the NPR app or wherever you get your podcasts.